We are. I'm Kurt. This is Darren. Darren's in Wales. I'm in Japan.
Hello.
And we are the team behind Faeseeker's Guide to Avallen, the current Kickstarter that we got up. And it has gone live, and it funded it. Did it fund in one day, or was it like 25
It was
hours?
like 26 hours, 25 hours. It was like almost one day.
Yeah, but a respectable showing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And we're currently up compared to Against the Fairy Queen. We've currently raised more funds than we had at this point for Against the Fairy Queen, which is our previous successful Kickstarter project that we fulfilled earlier this year. This year? Last year? This year. Yeah.
Yeah. Exciting. Thank you for being part of it. Zilphia, thank you for supporting everything we do.
Yeah.
Obviously, we appreciate you. We were joking about how we should just make this book for you, and the answer is we are making it for you, and people like Zilphia who want to see the stuff we're making and the world we're trying to build.
Yeah, and the YouTube videos. I mean, I've had loads of comments over the past 2 days since we went live on Facebook, Discord, Reddit, Kickstarter, private messages on Kickstarter, and emails, just saying thanks for making something like this. Thanks for making a Celtic-inspired sourcebook that's, got Welsh, Irish, Scottish mythology in it. Yeah, thanks for making something that looks, authentic and everything. So yeah, just been kind of inundated loads of lovely comments. So that's really wonderful to see. Yeah.
No, we're gonna pull a switcheroo, and when the book comes out, it's gonna be a Mad Max post-apocalyptic world with cars and guns and anime. It's gonna be an anime.
Yeah, it's gonna be a big book. Yeah. Spoiler.
What up? I always say the thing incorrect, even though So here's the thing about me that you should know. I say words incorrectly all the time.
Yes.
Hecate 95. Hecate. Which is Hecate.
Oh, I mean, there's no way to know. I mean, it could be Hecate.
No,
it could be Hecate.
It's a reference to the goddess, right? Hecate. But I don't know how it's
true.
But I don't know how to the Greek the goddess of the underworld. Is it Hecate? Hecate?
It's definitely not Hecate. It would definitely be
Hecate.
Yeah.
Hold on, we gotta look at those. How's it going?
Yeah, welcome.
And also tell us the correct pronunciation for Hecate. Hecate. I'm gonna say Hecate. That's what I'm gonna say. Hecate. That's what
I'm a big fan of Windows 95, so if Hecate 95 is anything like Windows 95, then that's great.
Oh yeah, that's true. I love Solitaire. It was good. Yeah. I know that. Were you born in 1995? Not to dox you, because that means you're a youngin compared to grognards like me.
Not young. I mean, I'm almost 35 now, so that means they're almost 30.
Yeah, that's true. It just keeps on going. That's what we're trying to do. So yes, we are on stream. This is technically a fact for anyone who's joining. We got some first-time chatters, and what we normally do is we shoot the shit about things, about games, about art, about the things that we make, and then we make stuff.
Yeah.
So how do you want to get this started, Darren? Do you want to open it up to the chat? Do you want to open it up to a vote?
Yeah. I guess just for anyone who's popping in and to introduce on the YouTube, we're making a Faeseeker's Guide to Avallen. This is our Celtic-inspired sourcebook that's made for our own game, Legends of Avallen, and for 5th edition. It is a sourcebook that will see you create characters that are sourced in different clans across our wonderful land of Avallen. And then when you go out on adventures, you can beseech the fairy courts for their blessings to gain powers by enacting their will and doing quests and tasks for them, although you must beware of the fairy tricks while you're doing so. So that's what we're up to. And I'm super curious for anyone in chat just to ask any questions about anything, and we'd happily talk about, happily respond to any questions about anything about the project, about the book, about our game. About
we've
us.
Basically been making it. We've been making this book on stream for how many months has it been now? Since like May or June or April? When did we start streaming?
I actually don't remember. It's been a long time. Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah. And Zilphia's been with us basically the whole way. So thank you, Zilphia, for your support. We almost threw in the towel. We're like, no. We need to see this through, and we are. And Again, I'll say this in a different way. Hikari, I'm so bad at it. Hikari says that they're a DM, they're creator of subclasses and monsters, and recently a race. What's the name of your race? That's always a question I ask when people make a new race. And I hope it's either something based, I don't know, something folkloric, because we like folkloric things, right? Now in D&D 5.5, they changed the word for race, didn't they?
I think it's species now.
Species.
Other people use heritage, but they went with species. That was their choice.
Species. Okay. Yeah, I mean that's fine. Species is accurate, right? That seems okay to me.
Yeah.
Although I guess heritage, if you use the word heritage, it kind of makes sense because there's a lot of like species mixing, right? So I guess like a half orc or a half something. I guess it makes sense to think about your heritage and the places you come from. I know it's tricky.
Yeah, I like heritage. Well, it's difficult. Yeah, it's like when you're speaking about biology or speaking about culture, right?
Yeah.
Because you could imagine a human somehow having an orc heritage because they've grown up in a half orc society or whatever.
Yeah. And then you start getting to this space of, oh, I'm human, but I have an orc great grandfather, but I pass as human. And then you get into these sort of like species racial politics. And that's a lot because we deal with that in real life, and it's a bit of escapism. Now, so Wyvernian 5e playable race with origins and culture info. Okay, so like a part Wyvern race. Okay, that's fun. Similar to, I guess, like dragon.
So do they have like wings under their arms? Like, are you making that distinction? You're having 4 limbs instead of 6, like a dragon? Do they have webbed arms? Is that what's happening there?
Yeah.
Out of curiosity.
Yeah, I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued by this society of Wyvernians. And also, what kind of names do they have? Shirley Wyvernian. Marshall Wyvernian.
So what should we talk about? What's happened this week then? I guess we should talk about the launch recap. And what we had to do. We had some actual. You're gone.
Oh no! I just looked up the pronunciation of Hecate. It is Hecate 95. That is correct pronunciation.
Okay, nice.
Hecate. All right, we figured it out. Yeah, but please share your link, Hecate. We like looking at people's stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, we launched on Tuesday. And in 26 hours we funded our campaign, and now we're above that, and we're looking for some stretch goals.
Yeah. Where's our first stretch goal?
Yeah. Now in terms of the stretch goals. Yeah. We didn't do that on stream, right? We did that behind the scenes.
I think we did it behind the scenes, yeah. So they don't know what comes later. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, the first one has been revealed. The first one is
first 2 now, actually.
The first 2, yeah. Hold on, I'm scrolling down to that. Well, you know off the top of your head, right? It's like, is it 50?
Yeah, I've got it on stream. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, is that something we should chat about? What these bonuses are? Or
yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's on our YouTube somewhere because I think we designed some of them on stream. Like all of this book has pretty much been designed on stream at some point. So if you're curious about stuff, you can go to our YouTube channel and see what we've been up to over the past, like Kurt said, 6 months or so.
So you can literally see. Oh, and there's a quick start guide, right? And so many parts of the quick start guide came from us just shooting the shit and talking and brainstorming.
Yeah. So our 50k. Stretch goal is to add extra origin feats to each of the clans for Legends of Avallen and for 5th edition. So at the moment, there are 5 clan origins that you can choose from. Where are they? They're on the page here somewhere. I can introduce them. Yeah, we have 5 clans in our Land of Avallen. We have the Penkawer in the grassy meadows to the south. We have the Penbythe, who live in the great forests of Glingoth and others. We have the Penlevy, who live in the non-arable swamps and marshes to the east. We have the Pendraig, who live in the mountains in the Midlands of the north of Avallen. We have the Penavank, who live in the Misty Isles, the northeast of the Islandlands. They're quite inclusive, isolated and secretive people.
Weirdos.
No, not weirdos. The misunderstood. And then we also have the Raxians as well, which is our Roman equivalent that have invaded the land and set up their own cities and things like that. So each clan is an origin you can choose from, and each one has a feat that's tied into their culture and their way of life. But when we were on stream, we kind of realized, well, there are different types of folk that live in each clan, right? And they have different roles to play as well in society, and there's different aspects to each clan. So shouldn't there be different origin abilities that you should better choose from, depending on what kind of person you are in the clan, how you grew up and where you grew up, that kind of thing. So our stretch goal was to add in more of those for every clan, so you have even more choices once you've chosen your clan about what kind of person you are within that clan.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I can hear. I'm not sure if I can hear you. Okay, good. I can hear you. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's like. And originally, so the book is gonna have this stretch goal is for bonus origin feats.
Yeah.
So how many origin feats are we having in the core book right now?
Core book just has
Do you recall?
1 origin feat per clan, which is pretty normal. Like.
And then when we go to 50, we're gonna do
3.
So 3 per.
So what is that? 300% more.
3. Yeah. Is that 300? Wait. Is that right? 300. Does that math work out if you have 1 and then it goes up to 300? Isn't that...
Well, if it's 200% more, it'd be double.
200% more. I guess so. Yeah. The math works out. You're the doctorate. You're the scientist. 300% more feats. You heard it here first.
Yeah.
You should put that on the. You should put that down there and just. 300% more bonus origin feats.
Yeah. I'll put it on there instead. Yeah. And then our next stretch goal at 75k is for bonus legendary artifacts and folkloric monsters. Now, that might sound like it's similar to the origin feats, but it's not. It's a lot more. In fact, maybe I can show on stream. Poor Sylvia's seen all this stuff before. But we have our quick start guide here. You can get this on the page. In fact, maybe I can show people where you can get it on the page. If you go to the Faeseeker's Guide to Avallen, scroll down in that section, there is a sample here. If you click this link or click on this picture, it will give you the Quickstart PDF, which I'm looking at right now. And it has kind of like an example of everything in the book that we have to offer.
Ooh. Have we? Wait, Zilphia, did we talk about stream? So the book has a sort of framing device of a narrator named Osain, who is a Faeseeker, and we established him a month ago, maybe 2 months ago. Have we told that story on stream yet?
What story?
About how Osain, we chose the name Osain.
Oh no, we haven't told that story. No. You can share that. Yeah.
So the narrator of the book, when you read the opening of this, it says, "Fair reader, know me as Osain. I am your humble guide, endeavoring to share all he knows of this world with you." And so this is the character we had, like this kind of bardic figure whose mentor was a great Faeseeker. So that's kind of inspired by the Book of Taliesin, and also in a way inspired by, was it Socrates and Plato writing about Socrates even though he didn't write anything down. And so he's writing about the greatest Faeseeker, his mentor, and he is also a great Faeseeker. So that's like the conceit. But we discovered later on, I was reading through the Illustrated Guide to Britain, and there is a famous book from the 19th century called Osain, and supposedly the author wrote a book of poetry recovered from the 3rd century, from this bard named Osain.
Wait, say that again, but slower. Say that one more time, but slower.
Yeah. So the author, this collection of poetry in the 19th century, was part of the Gaelic revival, the Celtic revival of Ireland, and it was a collection of poetry from the 3rd century by a bard named Osain. And it became very popular and helped with the Celtic revival. So I did not know this name. I knew about the Celtic revival. I did not know there was a book called Osain when I chose the name Osain. I chose it from a directory of Welsh names. And so I was doing some research and I discovered this book of poetry, or the history of this book of poetry. And what's even wackier is the fact that there's a theory that Osain isn't even real. It was created by the author to sort of like as a character. So
the story is that there's a Scottish guy called James Macpherson
there it is,
in the 1700s, and he came out to London and publishing and said, look, I got this book here of traditional Scottish poetry sourced from old Celtic tales. It's ancient Celtic poetry, and I've translated it from Scottish Gaelic into English. Check it out. And it kind of dropped like a bomb in the UK and Ireland, but it got really popular abroad in France and places like that where this Celtic revival was happening. And people were like, wow, this poetry is amazing. Where did you get it from? And he goes, oh, there's this old bard called Ossian from way back when. It's his poems, Scottish Gaelic. I translated it, put it into English, and put it out there. And he became quite famous for it. And then later on, people started to suspect that actually this bard that he talked about from 1,000 years ago did not exist. And it was all him. It was all him writing these poems and pretending that there was this bard called Ossian that he was translating them from. And that blew Kurt's minds because that's literally what he's doing right now. He was...
we're using the mouthpiece of a bard named Ossian to talk about Celtic culture in the modern day, but through the mouthpiece of a fictional bard.
In a book that we're trying to sell. it's actually crazy.
It's very weird. And can you tell and also the skeleton in that book is also, and Zilfio was. You were probably here for this when we talked about the skull, right? Can we tell that story?
Yeah, sure. Okay. So, well, let's go through the quick start guide, and then we can get there.
Oh, and also Hecate. I'm gonna say it wrong every time. Has shared their Rivernian race, their species. I'm gonna check that out.
Then you can check it out. So you're going through the book. Here's our map of Avallen. Again, if you're new here, this is our Celtic-inspired Isles of Avallen. It's actually the map structure. It obviously looks a little bit like the UK, and that's somewhat intentional because it's based on a Roman map of Britain from the time period, and the map is not exactly accurate to satellite imaging of Great Britain, but it is a map of the Britain from the time, and I kind of based it on that. So that's why it looks familiar, but it's also different, which I like a lot. So here's our Empire lands in the bottom right corner. Then we have the Penkawa, who are one of the clans that actually allied themselves with the Rexians. Then we have Verenius's Wall, obviously inspired by Hadrian's Wall. We have the Penbai that live in the forests here, the Pendrike in the mountains. The Pendrike and the Penbai are most inspired by the Welsh Celtic peoples. The Penkawa are inspired by the... Oh shoot, I've lost my names. The Celtic peoples that lived in the southeast of England and Boudica and things like that.
Oh yeah, Boudica tribe, right? Iceni?
Yeah, what did you say?
Iceni?
Iceni, yeah, the Iceni, yeah, thank you. Then we have the Penlevi that are somewhat inspired by the Pictish and Scottish tribes. And then we have the Penavunk, which is our more Irish-inspired Celtic peoples.
Yeah, and so part of the reason of doing it this way is there were a lot, like in reality, in actual Iron Age history, there's a ton of tribes that were born.
Yeah, there's loads of them, and they have different beliefs and different gods and traditions and languages, everything. Yeah.
So this makes it more manageable for us to, we could still take inspiration from the cultures and so on, but sort of consolidate things and get the feeling for how evocative it is and of all these pieces, but not actually have like 100 tribes you have to remember. You have to remember 5 clans, and then you could have the freedom to create your own tribes. Thank you for liking the art for that. A great Hecate also says a great mysterious mystery of interesting poems.
Yeah,
about us saying. So so sorry, go ahead. So these are the
there's the different clans that we have. And then we have the Rexian peoples as well, of course. Then we have a Faeseeker. So what is a Faeseeker, Kurt?
Faeseeker is one who seeks the Fae to get their blessings. So they beseech the fairy courts in order to gain the powers of the courts that serve one of the 5 gods of Avallen, the Everones.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously a big difference between our version of Celtic Britain and the real Celtic Britain is that in our version, the other world, Anoon, the place of spirits, fae, gods, and fiends, is real, and you can pass there through portals and doorways and interact with the fae and the gods, and beseech their blessings and their power.
Facehuggers.
Well, do we have any facehuggers? We kind of have a facehugger actually. We have the Alplukra, It's not exactly like a face hugger. It's a newt that goes into your mouth while you're sleeping, and then lives in like your throat and belly and steals your food, and kind of it's a parasite that eats you from the inside.
Yeah, it's pretty close. I would say that's pretty close.
Yeah.
And it definitely fits into the same milieu of that Alien was going for with xenomorphs, of weird alien creatures that make you fear being violated. So
yeah. And then in your pursuit of these powers that you get from the fairy quartz, you also have to be aware of the fairy tricks. So if you act out of place or do things that they don't particularly like, you can be subject to the fairy tricks, which we're releasing as a full tarot deck. And each tarot card will have its own unique fairy trick on there that you can be subject to, depending on what card you pull at the moment of your transgression.
Yeah, these are gonna be sweet. The Minor Arcana are gonna have panorama art, right? And the Major Arcana have figures and gods and so on in them. Yeah, Zilphia. Yeah, this is we're trying to do right by you.
Yeah.
yeah. And this thing too is obviously we have the mechanics for them too, but it's meant to be system agnostic.
Yeah.
So you can also use it for other games. You could use it for actual tarot card reading, which it would be fun. That'd be fun to do on stream. Yeah, why not? Just have fun with them. They're meant to be a GM and player's aid.
Super says that the players are gonna hate her. I don't believe it though. I think you're an excellent GM, and I think they'll love you, and I think they'll love fairy tricks as well. I think they'll betray the Fae on purpose just to get more fairy tricks. I think is what will happen.
Yeah. Hecate says, fairy trick Joker card player always stubbing their toe when walking through a door. Yeah,
exactly. I think that is going to be one of them. Something like that will be one of them. Like some of them tricks that are,
innocuous.
Yeah, innocuous and magical, and some of them are just annoying. And I think that's part of the fun. You don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah. And we're doing research too from folklore and trying to put in historical stuff too, obviously historical stuff, but also things that inspire us and would make sense for the genre that we're working in. So yeah, we're excited to have it be a thing. Oh, Zillia said that the players are pain in their butt, and you'll have to get your revenge.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
fair enough.
I know what's up. There's different play styles. You're a vengeful goddess. I get it.
Yeah, exactly. So this is an example of a fairy court. This is a fairy court this is the court of shadows, the fairy court of the Everstranger, our god of death, and that's why it's so moody and broody and full of spirits and ghostlies and ghoulies.
Yeah, they listen to the Smiths and the Cure all day long.
That's for sure, on repeat. Yeah,
and Linkin Park.
My Romance.
The only album that they play. Oh yeah, Zilphia will let us know how well the deck works for divination. Yeah, very curious about that. I would love. I don't know. I'm pretty interested in trying that on stream in the future. I don't know. Like I've never done it, but it sounds like it could be fun. Well, thank you for loving the art. Yeah, it's we have a talented team of folk helping us with the book. That was Raphael, right?
Yes, this is Raphael.
Yeah, very talented artist.
I guess we should mention quickly what do you get if you get the blessings of the Fae? What powers do you?
I don't remember exactly everything for the Everstranger. I gotta make this bigger, but yeah, there's one where my favorite bit is challenging fate and turning into a gwill, like a spooky goat.
Yeah. So like tier 1 powers, you gain like basic like fairy spells. These are little spells that you can do to help you in the moment. And these fairy blessings you get are on top of your classes and your subclasses and everything. And that's why they have so many restrictions to kind of help prevent power creep. You can only use these in certain circumstances that are blessed by the Fae, literally. And if you don't, then that's when you get subject to fairy tricks. So if you're a player, you can still use them whenever you want to, but know that then you have to find out what happens to you as a consequence. Yes, the first one's simple fairy spells. Then you gain the Wisps form. So this lets you turn into the Fae of the god that you're worshipping, the Fae of your fairy court, for a brief moment to gain their powers. So those are the Everstranger are ghostly figures, and you can turn into a wisp, which means you can't be harmed or touched or interact with interacted with, but then you also can't interact as well. So it's a way to escape attacks or escape bombs or that kind of thing, or move through walls, but only for a short time. And then, Kurt's favourite ability is Destined Path. So the Everstranger is the god of death and destiny. And when you use this ability, you pick an action that you're considering to take, and then another action that's very different from it that you also have to consider to take. And then you randomly find out which one of them is actually your destiny, whether it should be path A or path B. And then you get to choose if you go down your destined path or defy destiny and go down the other path. And if you choose your destined path, then you gain a bunch of bonuses to taking the action. But if you choose a defy destiny, then you get a bunch of negatives to taking the action. So it's a way to gain a bunch of bonuses, but only to a random action. So you don't know which way you're going to go. So you can't say, I'm going to attack this guy, and then I get a bunch of bonuses. It's going to be, I'm going to attack this guy, or I'm going to run away. And then you'll find out which one your destiny is and make your choice. So yeah, we're really excited about that one. It's a lot of fun.
And it gives you a good opportunity with your game master to wait. Did the game master choose or another player choose? Like
so you choose one path, and then with the GM's help, you choose the other path that's opposite. Right. And that just stops you from choosing two things that are kind of the same. You know what I mean? Yeah. The DM has to.
I either stab the monster or I slice it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they have to be different. Yeah.
Right.
Since GMs have to control it, so this specifically on your turn, declare an action you might take, and agree with your GM and a possible alternative opposing action. Yeah.
I guess the thing about this is you have to, it's collaborative and but it is in service of trying to tell a good story and can create some drama there. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
This is my
the GM represents the gods and the fairy courts that you're interacting with, right? So they're the ones that are passing destiny down to you.
Cool.
Then how do you gain these lessons? Like I said, you have to act for the fairy courts. And then we have some guidelines here on how you would act for the Court of Shadows, specifically for this court. Other courts, they want you to do things that are completely different. But this is the Court of Shadows. They deal with death, spirits, and destiny. And so the way you can gain favor with them is by honoring death, fearless hospitality, because Everstrange is also the god of revelry and partying and living in the moment. Defeating horrors that are spawned from corrupted spirits, so laying spirits to rest essentially, and giving gifts from the dead. So these are treasures and loot that you might have taken from a fallen foe, or gifts that you've inherited from a fallen friend or loved one. If you then commend them to the god of death by burying them or casting them into a nearby bog, that will gain you favor with the Court of Shadows as well. So you have to actually do these things in the world, in the game, to gain these powers. It's not just gain experience. You have to do these tasks, and then tell your story, tell your tales to the fairy courts to gain their powers, if you're worthy.
Yeah, and the game master will have guidelines on what's acceptable, what's not. Right? So and then everyone can choose. I guess depends on the vibe of the table. Like not everyone has to become a Faeseeker, but also everyone could be a Faeseeker if they.
Yeah, and there are 5 fairy courts, and usually there's 5 players in the game, so. If it's more than 5, it's okay to overlap as well. That's fine. Or you could all be a member of the same fairy court. That's also fine.
Yeah.
You could all be ghosts running around together, passing through walls.
Yeah,
it's kind of fun.
Ghost Squad.
Ghost Squad, yeah.
Ghost Squad, that's
kind of cool.
And of course, it's up to, like all things in a game, it's. I don't know what they call it indeed, like what Rule 0, like like
Session 0
in terms of the kind of story that you want to tell. But it's I think it's fun, it's evocative, and lets you interact with these kind of Sealy fairy courts in a fun and flavorful way. And hypothetically too, like they can be applied to other, like if someone's playing Feywild, like from D&D, they could hypothetically use these mechanics if they want to have a more evocative flavor chord and all that stuff. But we want you to play in Avallen, so that's what we're talking about.
Yeah. And then we're at the final section, Treasured Lore.
Yes.
So in our book, we have this tiered lore system where all of the information that GMs are going to have about the clans, about people in those clans, about locations in those clans, about the fairy courts, the gods, locations in the other world, treasures, monsters, and adventure sites. We're all going to have this tiered lore system where the GM gains all the information about this place, but they gain it in a structured way where they know what common folk might know about this place, what experts and specialist researchers might know about this place, or people with real experience, and then legendary lore that almost nobody knows. And this is so that they know what information to pass on to the players. If they're just talking to local people, or if they're pursuing to learn about something, or if they're going on a quest to find out its secrets. That's how this lore is structured. So there's common lore, rare lore, and legendary lore. And then we have an example of that here with one of our legendary artifacts. So we know that there's a lot of books out there that make things for games that have like 100+ magic items in them. And I mean, like even the the GM manual for the old D&D book had like, I don't know, 100 magic items in them. But it really is just like a little sketch and then the rules text, and then that's kind of it. And we think magic items should be like way more than that. They should be their own legendary. Each item should have its own story, its own history, and its own quest to obtain it, perhaps. And so that fits into our tiered lore system. And we have an example here of the Oath Skull of Urudek, which we made on stream together actually one time.
It's the initial formation of it, right? Like the concept of it.
Yeah. We made the skull, but we didn't come up with the story completely. We just knew it was a Penlevy chieftain or something. So more of a magical relic than a magical item. Yeah, that's a great way of putting it, yeah. So I'm calling them legendary artifacts, but magical relic is a good way of thinking of it as well. Yeah, that's a good point. I like that. Yeah, so what does the skull do, Kurt?
So this skull is an oath skull, and supposedly its properties, according to legend, are anyone who touches the skull cannot lie, and you can also make a vow on it, or have someone who's your partner in making a vow make a vow on it, and if that person breaks the vow, the spirit of Urudek, the chieftain, who was famously very just and hated lying and falsehoods, will come out leaping and as a fiery spirit and try to kill you.
Yes, he will try to kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what this skull does, and that's what we decided on stream, was that it was some Penlevy chieftain. It's an oath skull, and like I said, you have to tell your truth when you're holding it, and then if you break a vow that you swore while holding it, then Urudek will come find you and try to kill you. His vengeful spirit would, and that's what we came up with. And then while we were busy preparing the Kickstarter, I approached a good friend of mine who's a playtester and has been on stream once before as well. In fact, he was there when we made these legendary items.
He was our guest who helped to come up with the skull. Yeah,
and I said to him, hey, can you give a story? We need a story for where this skull comes from and what it is. And he was like, what you got so far? And I said, well, what we did on the stream, it's a chieftain, doesn't like lying, but that's all we gave him. And then he wrote a story for me, and much like what Kurt did, or what Kurt discovered when he wrote for Asane, our narrator character, who ended up being, a real character that has its own history. Outside of our book, the story that Alex came up with was uncannily similar to a famous Welsh Celtic legend in the Mabinogi. It was crazily similar, and he's never read it. He doesn't know that story at all. He just wrote it himself.
We were just having to brainstorm and riff. Like, he's just kind of riffing. Like, oh yeah, let's see what he comes up with.
Yeah. And then when I told him, he was scared. He was genuinely terrified. He was like, "Are the spirits after me? Like, what's going on here?"
Yeah. Do you want to give a quick summary? Should I?
Yeah. You can give a quick summary. I've been talking for a bit.
Yeah. So basically, Alex wrote the story of the chieftain. Basically, was it his daughter? Did he talk? Was it a daughter?
Yeah, daughter. Yeah.
He marries his daughter off in a political marriage. And there's a betrayal. I forgot the exact betrayal he said. He noted, but he basically approaches the Fae, and the Fae, in exchange for his vow to, he's seeking power and help to get revenge. The Fae cuts off his head and takes the skull to the wedding, and the fiery spirit jumps out and kills everyone at the wedding.
Yeah, to get his
Right.
vengeance. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's different, of course, but it's similar conceptually to the story of Bran the Blessed in the Mabinogion, which is where travelers from the North, Ireland, come to the South, and they, I think that their king, is it Mathalu? I forgot his name, or I can't say his name, but Mathalu? Matt. Let's say Matt, because that's basically the modern day version of it. He comes, the king of the North, and he wants to marry Branwen, which is Bran the Blessed. And Bran the Blessed is like a giant.
Yeah. So it's the same story. The chieftain of a tribe marries his daughter to another tribe as a political marriage for peace.
It's his sister. It's his sister in the Mabinogi, though.
Oh, is it his sister instead of his daughter?
Yeah, it's his sister. Yeah,
okay, female relative.
Female relative, yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's an asshole brother that is, what do you call it? Insulted, and he like he flays the horses or whatever, cuts off their eyelids and does all this weird shit, and it really insults the Irish. And but Bran is like wants to keep the peace, so he offers the magical item, which is like a cauldron, and they keep the peace. But they go back home to the North. Bran goes with them, but when the Irish hear the story, they become very abusive to her.
They feel like they've been aggrieved, and they take the vengeance out on the sister who's married.
Yeah, and what she does is she raises a starling and teaches it how to talk, a bird, and once she teaches it how to recognize her brother's face, she sends it off, and it goes to Bran the Blessed and tells him the story, and he gets super angry, like sad that he put his sister in that situation, and then angry, and then he brings this whole army to the North, and they have a big war that kills almost everybody except for like 7 people. And then after the battle, I think Bran the Blessed dies, and he has his head cut off. He basically loses his head, and they take his giant head, and they go to the South, and it's like a magical talking head, and they go into this door for 80 years. That's that because that happened back then. They go into this room for 80 years and talk to the head, but 80 years passes, but it's almost like nothing in their world, and then they bury the head and have it look to the east to ward off invaders. But anyway, basic story: chieftain marries off has a political marriage with a female relative. It goes sour. He takes revenge. He has his head cut off, and his head becomes a magical item.
Yes.
It's the basic. So they're different, but they're also very related.
But there's other Dia gets her head cut off. She gets abused, and he finds out about her abuse through magical means. They go to war. Yeah. There's a massacre at a wedding, kind of, or a family meeting as well. It's all, very strange. Anyway, so the point is that our skull, is written by my friend Alex, but then we also entwined that story into it to kind of blend them even closer together to make it even more inspired by the original Welsh Celtic story. And then your players who are playing the game, they can find out that story gradually by first uncovering the common law, which doesn't even mention anything about the daughter, about the wedding proposal and that kind of thing. It just says that Urudek's somehow in the skull, and that the skull was lost during a wedding party, right? And then they find out through rare lore where it's kept, where it's stashed away, and what it does. And then once they find out the legendary lore, once they really delve into it and go on a quest to find out the secrets, then they get the full story. And then by getting the full story, they learn, here's Urudek himself in his vengeful state, that not only is the skull a powerful item, but it's possible that they could free Urudek from it. And it's possible that the Ever-Stranger and the Court of Shadows would appreciate that. That would be something that they would appreciate. So you have a choice then. Do you want to keep the skull and use its powers, or do you want to free the spirit and gain favour with the courts? But you'd only find that out if you delve into it and get the legendary lore by doing some kind of quest or some kind of journey.
There's basically a cheeky fae that's keeping the skull of Urudek in the mortal world for his own sort of amusement, and it's not super malicious, but it's just kind of, it's like a defiant boy, kind of like, I'm just gonna keep this is my skull now, even though it's like a chieftain's spirit is trapped inside it, and he doesn't want his his leadership to know, because it amuses him, and he uses it in the mortal world sometimes. So that's and he has it guarded in the cave. So there's enough details there for a whole background of things you do. Like, it's kept in the cave. There's spirits there. So if a game master wanted to develop it into a whole adventure, they could. Especially if the player sort of latch on to the idea, to the rumors, and follow it. Oh, and Hakate said, oh yeah, so Sylvia said they love Celtic stories, and because they're always so descriptive. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that happens. Hecate says, imagine if the skull had a personality of an old man who only talked about themselves and almost nothing else. I mean, I guess it's possible. You give it whatever personality you want, but the only thing we really know about him from that story is that he just like doesn't like falsehoods and lying. So he expects people to tell the truth. So yeah, he could be very self-absorbed after being trapped in the skull for many years. I think that's possible.
All right, chat. We need your help now. We've shown you through all the stuff we've made before, and now we're getting to the meat and potatoes of what we do on these streams and what we will do going forwards, which is making more stuff for our book. And we can... What were the choices we had? We had make another legendary artifact, clan secrets, so secrets of a clan. And then what was the third one, Kurt? You wrote it. Can you remember?
It was a location site, like an adventure site related to a place in Avallen. Either that can lead to questing that. So a location site.
Okay. So there, we have three things. We have another legendary artifact, secrets of a clan, or an adventure site. And we're gonna brainstorm with you guys a bunch of ideas and begin to formulate what one of these things might become in the book. And so we need you to decide which of the three that we work on. So that's legendary artifact 1, clan secrets 2, adventure site 3. Anyone who's in chat, please post now.
and similar to the two stories you just heard about Osane and the skull. Usually what we'll do is we'll riff and we'll brainstorm. And then once we kind of have the idea of something that sounds fun, we'll start to find reference points in the literature and so on, and shape it and mold it and make sure that we're still...
Kurt?
Yeah.
I just realized that I've been talking and acting like we do a normal stream time of 2 hours. I've been looking at the time and I've been fine with it. And I just realized we only scheduled for 1 hour and that's in 17 minutes to finish.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Do we want to add an extra half an hour to the stream time, or are you busy?
How about this? Well, Zivia said that they're leaning towards the adventure site. So my issue is, I got a bunch of appointments to prepare for tomorrow. And
we screwed up. I screwed up here. Sorry, guys. I forgot that we were doing this short stream.
Talk about it. But we can get an idea rolling, right? Like that way we I think that's okay. And we can why don't we settle on something tonight right now?
Okay.
And then we can
we'll get as far as we can and we can continue next week. I agree. Good point. Okay. So adventure side it is then.
So I like that. Well, what do you think? Hecate 95? Hecate. I like sites, I like locations, I like layers. And also I was looking through this wonderful book called The Illustrated Guide to Britain that's teaching me all about Wales and the West Country and all these different places in your neck of the woods, Darren. But you would know better than me because you actually live there. So so you can tell us if there's something you vibe with. If there's
once again on stream one time we came up with a bunch of ideas for different adventure site locations. Hikate says, I'm okay, let me know later then for the race if you're about to head out. I'm actually for the secret ones.
Secrets one. Okay, so
we can tie them together. Let's do an adventure location for a clan, and then they probably have some intertwining there, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. I feel like if we're talking, well, I'm hoping in this book I flesh out an idea of headcanon for the Pen of Ankh, but I don't know if I'm prepared to talk about it on
so let's roll out the Pen of Ankh. We wrote down some kind of water cove. For the Penbythe, we said grove or temple, and I think we did a little bit of that one on stream already. So then we have 3 more choices. We have the Pencaller, which would be a fort and a festival / market town, perhaps tavern. So like a more civilized adventure site. Pendraic are mines, underground caves and hot springs. And the Penlevy is ancient ruins. I kind of want to avoid the Penlevy because almost most things in this book are Penlevy. So that narrows it down to 2 places. The Pencalwer Fort, which is on the meadows, the people that are aligned with the Rexians. Some kind of hill fort and market place. Or the Pendraic, which should be some kind of mines and underground cavern and hot springs area. So those are the 2 choices.
Now, are we allowed to draw on the locations we talked about in Legends of Avallen core rulebook and then flesh them out, or do we want to just choose a
Well, we can do new. It doesn't. Either way is fine. Yeah.
Let's see here. There's a.
Well, I can go to the map. Yeah. But first, we need to decide hill fort or underground Pendraic mines and undergroundness. So hill fort down here somewhere, or mines and hot springs in the mountains up here. It's getting cold around here. Hot springs sound nice, Zofia. Cool. That's a good reason than any. You okay with that, Kurt?
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm okay with that. So doesn't the word bath actually come from that area because of the hot springs in Bath?
Bath is named for the baths in Bath. Yeah. You didn't get to go to Bath, did you? No.
No.
Bath is beautiful, man. Bath is super beautiful.
We're hoping. Let's. That's gonna be a stretch goal, a personal stretch goal, if we can afford it. I would love to go and write there for a little bit. Okay. So sorry, what part of the map are we looking at?
So we're looking at Pendraic adventure sites. We are talking about caves, mines, underground caves, hot springs.
Oh yeah, this is I remember this. So this is we have a bit of lore, but I'm not sure if that's the same area about the water that runs through there. Let me see if I can find it. So the Thames Peak, the Beacon Stones. We have Kogoth Affair. Is that it? Is that what I'm thinking of? Let's see here. Is that the one looking at? It's for sunlight depth. Well, if we're talking about the hot springs, no, maybe I'm thinking of something else. But anyway, we can riff. I'm down. And we're looking at the Thames Peak. So the Thames Peak. So if we're talking about the Thames Peaks, it's the tallest mountain range in Avallen. And each year, warriors that come of age are sent there to retrieve a crown flower, a beautiful red and yellow flower that grows only at the highest elevations of the Thames. If they survive the journey, they are seen as worthy of representing the Everfather in battle. We have some lore about the flowers that grow there, and then bards claim that it's very thin there in terms of the barrier between our world and the other world. So dregs sometimes escape. And when visiting Caramones, you have to be careful of the dregs. And then there's also the Beacon Stones of Mons Corsaid at the top, which is like a really crazy ass gathering place for druids that lets you see for incredible distances. And then underneath is Kogoth Affair, right, which is the cave system that runs from the southern coast all the way to the northern sea cliffs.
Supposedly. Oh yeah, there you go. We have a map on there, don't we? Yeah. We have a cave system on here. Kogoth Affair.
Yep. Kogoth Affair is like a big ass cave system.
Yeah. So I'm feeling like, oh god, it's still so many choices. We have like 3 choices. We could connect this to like maybe like a small farmstead. So there's like a farmstead on the surface, and then underneath there's something like bigger and greater that's delved beneath the surface. It could be that would be like a mine shaft, like an active place that people are like mining and doing work and things. It's just like a town or something. We could have it be a location that's underneath a sacred site, like the stones you said at the top of Mons Corsaid, and there's like something more mystical happening there. well, there's going to be something mystical happening anyway, I think. Or we could tie it to this actual location we have on the map, Kogoth Arthair. Did we say anything about that place in the book?
Yeah. It's the Pendrake say all caves lead to Kogoth Father. Seems to have a pebble of truth in it. It's believed to be the largest cave system in Avallen, though there's no way for anyone to know for sure. Northern Valak tribes claim that one can travel from a cove in the southern coast all the way to Pendrake's northern sea cliffs without ever having to set foot in sunlight. So it's a legendarily large cave system, but it's hard to tell if it's actually a single cave system or just people attributing caves connecting.
Okay. So obviously we can't do all of it
No.
because it'd be too big. We could do a bit of it. I'm feeling that's probably not the right spot. We should do something tied to like a sacred site or tied to like a town or something like that. What do you think?
Well, what you're mentioning about a mining thing, I think that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Because our perception, I mean, one, I'm interested in looking into the history of that, right? Because they had weapons and metal, but the way mining practices worked are probably much different from what we think of as modern mining practices, right? I assume anyway, and tin being an important metal as well as whatever you need to make, iron, basically, right?
Yeah. Okay. Well, then let's say we're going to introduce industry, because part of the things we want to do is make the world feel believable and real, and we could then use this as an opportunity to show, well, how did Pendrake economy work? How are they generating wealth? What are they doing? What are they exporting to the other clan lands? That kind of thing. So we could tie it to industry of mining, and that's very Welsh traditional as well. Welsh is very proud of that.
Yeah. And we can share something. We do some research, so that's a good thing. We could do some homework this week and do reading on Iron Age mining practices and stuff. I love that kind of stuff. And then sprinkling the bits in, and then we could tie that into what that kind of how that would be organized, right? That's interesting to me. I wanna do some more.
We have a bunch of ideas in chat as well. Hecate says, "What about a water wheel at a farmstead that has a hidden passage underneath, as some water has a different property?" So, I mean, that works somewhat as well. Obviously, we're in the mountains. There's waterfalls, that kind of thing. So we can have, waterfall, water wheel, passageways. Passageways. You can use water to power mining equipment and things like that. To make things easier to lift up and things. Powering equipment. And Zilphia says, the sacred site could be one hidden lost hot spring that is blessed by a Fae or something, or the skull is powered by a powerful human healer tricked by the Fae. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you're right. We could have a bunch of ideas here. We could have this farmstead, this mining location that's used for mining, and then inside there somewhere is this sacred hot spring as well, that either they know is there or don't know is there, or it's legendary to be there, and the adventure site has a map of how to get there. And then the last thing we need to do is a sacred hot spring, related to a Fae story. And then the last thing we need to do is find out why this is an adventure. What makes this place adventurous? Now, the classic tale is, the dwarves dig too deep,
Sure. The goblins. Whatever.
Yeah. So we can say that the local people are mining too deep into the mountain and they found a passage to the other world, right? Things like that. Or we could do warring towns, tribal conflicts. There are two towns and they've kind of suddenly become connected through the mine shafts or whatever, and they don't like that they're each mining each other's turf. There could be fights over this sacred hot spring. There could be a conflict of industry and tradition, right? They're the ideas that leap to mind at the moment. What do you think?
The point that Zilphia also touches on with the blessing of the Fae Hot Spring, that's also a classic thing, right? Where you have the fairies kind of holding court nearby, the fairy rings or whatever, and marrying off their Fae or stealing, or basically interacting with the locals on some level, either marrying off the Fae in order to get more children or snacks and goods and stuff like that. So I'm wondering if there's like.
I like how you also like equate snacks and children. Like snacks or children.
Yeah, because it's like food and population. Those are the things that are important. That those are some of the classic reasons why the other world interacted with humans, right? Either they want to steal your baby so they can make more Tilithtig, or they have an obsession with certain foods like milk and like bread and milk are the usual two things. Or they marry off the Fae. Like those are the classic stories of marrying off the Fae there, right? If we want to make it Fae-oriented. Now here's the thing: do we want it to be spooky in that way? Like, because the ideas that you preferred or offered up are slightly different, right? Like, should it be terrestrial conflict, or should it be?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I've been wondering. And in my mind, it kind of seems obvious and appropriate to do the dwarves delve too deep story of like, you know, making a way into the other world, and then horrors kind of come out, and that's why the caves are dangerous, and the heroes have to go down there and like plug the hole kind of thing to make it safe for the town. But we're going to make adventure sites in the other world anyway, right?
Yeah.
So maybe this should be more terrestrial, but also maybe it's okay to have the overlap. Like, I'm honestly not sure.
We have some comments. So, Kate talks about the puzzle that they had with the water wheel, where the players had to make the water wheel go in reverse to open up a secret passage. It's fun. I do like the idea. What did water wheels look like in the Iron Age?
Great question. We'd have to find out.
Yeah. That will require some research to see what that looks like. What that looks like. And then Zilphia suggests that the mining could have aggravated the site and something stirring up malevolence in the area and could be contaminating the hot spring. So yeah, you should have some hot spring darkness. Yeah, that could be fun. That could be fun too. Because water. Obviously, water is always going to be important. Now, if we lean into this idea of there being a hot spring, that's also a thing, right? Like the sacred hot springs and the druids think that it's a blessing from the fairy courts or a blessing from the Everfather or something. But if it's contaminated either by a weird force or a more unsavory force in the other world, then when people like get out of it or they go in, they become strange or weird or warped or something, and that could be a weird thing too. Yeah, it's kind of like pollution allegory for a mining.
Yeah, exactly. Town. So not Fae, but still otherworld. Yeah, I agree. So I think fundamentally though, it has to be an adventure site, right? So it has to be a place that adventurers are going to cover. So I think it has to be, it has to be an abandoned mine.
Yeah.
Or a recently, like abandoned mine or a recently abandoned mine, right? Like people have to be not. I think it has to be like a natural cave system that they've turned into mining, and then they stopped either 100 years ago because something terrible happened and they haven't gone back since, or like the last week or something, and everyone's scared shitless. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the whole thing with the tricky part of making it more contemporaneous is like, well, the time frame of events, right? Like how they happen. Like your idea of it being like a long time ago, that kind of makes more sense because then it's not tied to current events. If that makes sense. So
yeah, but I think it's okay if it's current events, because like the way it works in play is if the players go to this location or they hear about it, like it's going to be something that's happened recently. That's the GM's control. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. But either way, conceptually it should.
Okay. And I also wrote down here something for next time as well. I just wrote dangers of mines. And I wrote down gas, creatures, darkness, getting lost. Oh, cave-ins as well. Right? Like we should just be aware of the kind of obstacles and hazards that we might want to employ to make it a location where only adventurers go, right? That's the point.
I'm gonna I'll do a quick search. I got my little PDF of folklore here. Let me see if I can find something too. Do a bit of
we just hit the mark. If you want to check quickly, or if you want to read another time, we could talk about it next week.
Yeah. I think that's okay. I mean, like we could riff off of these ideas we have and do some research and shape it up a bit more. I like that idea.
But yeah, this is what we do.
Ooh.
We come up with ideas that should be fun for players and GMs to engage with, and then we do research into Celtic history and Celtic myths to find ideas that can tie it in together, to source it back to something that feels familiar, traditional, folkloric, and then make it into a cohesive whole with some game design principles that we've picked up over the years, right?
Yeah, no. I do have one final comment of a thing I found, and I want to run it by you on stream if that's okay. Do you know where Dane Hills is? How do you?
Dane? Dane?
Yeah, Danehills.
Well, I mean, I know where the Dane lore is in like Manchester area. I haven't heard of Dane Hills specifically.
But there's a legend of Black Anis, a cannibal hag with a blue face and iron claws that supposedly lived in the cave, in the mouth of the cave, and it leapt out and devoured stray children and lambs.
Well, that sounds fun.
So that could be the source of corruption, right? So you imagine, like,
iron claws.
Maybe there's, yeah, iron claws. It's like, yeah, on Easter Monday, it was a custom from early times to hold a drag hunt from Annis Bower to the mayor of Leicester. How do you pronounce?
This is so Leicester. Fewer syllables than it should be, but yeah, just Leicester.
Yeah, Leicester House. So it's in Leicester, and the bait dragged was a dead cat drenched in blood, and Black Anis was associated with a monstrous cat. Yeah, that's kind of fun.
What was the creature called?
Black Anis. That's the name.
Black. How do you spell Anis?
Annis.
Annis. Okay, I'm just gonna.
It might be more recent in legend. It might be like an.
Like a recent folklore, but all that kind of stuff is like tied into old things. So.
Yeah, but it is county. Yeah, that's kind of fun. Like what if it was a weird fucking hag that no one really knows about, and like you said, so the water's polluted or the shaft is fucked up, and there's a bunch of theories about it, but really there's just this fucked up hag that would eat miners or the children, and she gains her power. Like she has iron hands too. That means she'd be like antithetical to the Fae, right? Like she's a otherworldly creature that the Fae courts would not want to. It'd be like an enemy of the Fae courts, more or less, because she's an otherworldly creature that can deal with iron and things that are their weakness. So that's kind of fun.
Well, I'm on the wiki page. It's like the first port of call, and they already say here that like it's from folklore in like the 1800s, but people claim that it's based on Celtic mythology or Germanic mythology. People even tied it back to Egyptian mythology. So it's just one of those things where you talk about folklore, and people say like it's from the 1700s. What they mean is it first was recorded in the 1700s, and this is probably a story that's been going around for hundreds, if not thousands, of years, or it's tied back to even older ancient traditions.
It's like a Baba Yaga-ish type figure. Oh yeah, I don't know. I like this. That sounds like a fun adventure site with a weird fucking hag living in it. But I don't know. What do you think? Is that too?
No. I mean, there needs to be a reason why it's in need of adventurers, right? And like that's different. So when the other option we had was the hill fort, right, and the town, and that's going to be filled with people. So it can't be something terrifying and weird and otherworldly there. Probably there's probably going to be like a more political conflict, right? Where you set up factions and it's more of a political adventure. So I'm kind of down for haunted, scary caves.
And it's like a new creature, like a named creature, and that's a secret. And just the imagery of it sounds fucked up. A blue face hag with iron claws and a taste for human flesh.
It's awesome.
And it haunts the countryside, living in a cave in the Dane Hills with a great oak tree at the entrance. That's dope. She's set to venture out at night looking for children and lambs to eat, then tanning their skins by hanging them on a tree before wearing them around her waist. Jesus Christ! There'll be a house of that. She's a bane curse of the Fae. Because she's fucked up. And for the Fae to sort of be, because the Fae courts, right? They're Seelie courts, and they service the Ever ones. But obviously, there needs to be these otherworldly creatures and Fae and myths that are still sort of the bane of the courts, and they have to deal with that a little bit because if they devour the souls of their worshippers, they have fewer worshippers and power in the other world, right? So
yeah, exactly. And just some good news.
Okay,
While we were streaming, we hit 23k.
Oh shit! Let's go! Pew pew pew! Black Anist magic.
Awesome.
Black Anist magic. We did it. Anyway, and maybe we'll change her name, the hag's name, to because Anise. It might be Anise, Anise. And maybe we can make it like an older name.
Yeah.
But yeah, that sounds like a fucked up like Bloody Mary style proper creature. Speaking of which, too, it reminds me of this new anime we're watching called Dandadan. Yeah, but this is my anime recommendation of the year is Dandadan.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Japanese sci-fi supernatural stuff, and it has a old woman who lives in the cave, ghost. So it reminds me of that as well. It's based on a real story, based on real Japanese folklore. Yeah, it's very cool. Very good show. So yeah, if you're in for this, like I say, we do more research on this legend, on some mining practices, so we can make it feel like this came from that time period and then was abandoned, and then we can flesh out what the area would look like and where it would be located on our little map.
Yep, I love it. All right, well, thank you, chat. Thank you for your ideas. As always, it's just easier when people are throwing stuff at us. It just helps a lot, and it's really fun too. So I really appreciate it. Thank you, Sophia. Thank you, Hikate. And we will see you.
Yeah, we'll be
next
back
week
next Thursday.
Yeah, similar time. Don't know. We'll see.
Similar time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk. But yeah, we hit 23 on stream. That's wonderful to hear. And we'll keep updating you on the stream. We're running for 3 weeks, so we got two more streams while the campaign's running live. Is that right?
Is that right? This week, then next week, and then the next. Yes, it must be true. I can't do it right now in my head, but yeah, we stop on the 3rd. So yes. Yeah.
Oh no, is that right? No, it's the 15th right now.
Yeah. So we have next Thursday and Thursday after that, and then we stop. And we might even stream on the Tuesday when we stop. We'll see what's going on then. Yeah, we might have a celebration stream when we end. Yeah.
Zephy says, see you guys next week. Congrats on the successful Kickstarter. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we want to, we want to make cool things. That's all we want to do. We want to make fun things.
We want to make cool things for cool people like you.
Yeah, that's it. That's our tagline.
That's our tagline. That's the business tagline. Addystone Games, making cool things for cool people like you.
Like you, yeah, my brother. And then awkward handshake.
Yeah.
That's everything. That's the whole. That's just the guy with a weird hand coming out at you.
Okay. The stream's getting unhinged now, so we'll stop here. All right. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Okay. All right.
Have a
good night. Good night. Good morning. Good evening. Good afternoon.
Yeah. Cheers, guys. Bye.
Thanks, Kate.